Halito Chimichokma, it's your girl Cheyenne. Thank you for joining me as we take a look behind the scenes to discover the beautiful creations being brought to life on the bead mats of your fellow artists. On this podcast, you will hear the stories of beaders whose craft is an extension of themselves, those that use their hands to tell their stories. On the Bead Mat is a safe space to discuss struggles, triumphs, and that insatiable creative calling that keeps us coming back for more. So settle in, get out those beads, and let's discover what is on the Bead Mat. Welcome, 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 everyone. I'm so excited. This is our first episode of On the Bead Mat, and I knew I wanted somebody extra special for our first episode, and I definitely think I have just that. She has blown up on TikTok. She's taking over bead talk as we know it. Her beads are as vibrant as she is, and I am so excited to welcome Ms. Cheyenne Faulkner as our first guest. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi everyone, so I'm Cheyenne. I run the account Beads by Chey Designs, and I'm Lumbee and Shoshone Bannock, and I live in California. I've been beading for about going on 3 years now, and I'm super excited to be here.
So I actually met Cheyenne on TikTok, and that was kind of where we started, getting to know each other. And I think you started beading during the pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm, like right at the beginning.
How soon after you started beading did you start doing TikToks?
Probably maybe like 2 or 3 months into my beading career, I guess. So pretty early on.
Pretty early. And we, just kind of followed each other. And then it became this thing where, sorry, if you are watching the video, you're going to see me looking at my phone a lot because that's where all my questions and stuff are, but my phone keeps going to sleep. So I keep hitting it. We actually started like chatting on Instagram, right? And we were in like a little group and we did a few, collabs there. And you realize we've known each other now for almost 2 years.
That's pretty crazy.
And it's so strange to me because sometimes I feel like 2020 just happened. Like it was yesterday that we were doing all of this, and now we're going into 2022, and it's like 2021 never existed. Yeah, I'll never understand. To kick things off, this podcast is called On the Bead Mat. So tell us, what is on your bead mat today?
So today I'm working on a pair of fire colored and gray earrings. So I have a like gunmetal colored center that I'm working with, and it's like a teardrop shape. And I'm just working on some simple stuff for now. So I might make it a matching necklace. I'm not sure yet though.
For me? It's for me, right?
Yeah, for sure.
What kind of beads are you using?
I'm using size 11 opaque beads today.
Oh, gotcha. Is it just seed beads or?
Yeah, they're just seed beads for today.
Yeah. So I actually have a feather on my bead mat. I'm working on putting a few on my website for Christmas. This is actually being filmed prior to Christmas. So I'm working on these feathers that will hopefully be sold by the time you all hear this podcast.
Yay.
But this is kind of what I'm working on. It is a white speckled feather with a peyote stitch design going down the quill. And on my bead mat, I've got some, they're all delicas, but I've got some gunmetal, some luster white, this really pretty matte bronze, and Picasso turquoise, and like this yellow Picasso bead. I love the Picasso beads.
I love those. They're my favorite. They're just so interesting.
Yeah, and they give this beautiful texture to the pieces and make it kind of not so flat, not so two-dimensional. So that's what I've got on my bead mat. While we're chatting, we're going to be beading away and just having a nice little bead sesh. I don't know how much we're actually going to accomplish if we really get to chatting, but we'll try to get some of our beadwork finished. So let's kick it off. What do you feel like you are best known for? Is there a product specifically that people say, okay, if I want this, I'm going to go to Cheyenne to get it?
It would probably be my beaded hoops, because that's what originally like blew up on TikTok. I had posted like a pair of like purple and white beaded hoops, and I didn't think they were anything like crazy or anything special, but they blew up, and then I had like 50 messages of people wanting hoops. And even like today, like that's one of the more popular items. It's between like my hoops and my keychains. Those are like the two most popular products that people come to me for.
Yeah, your hoops are definitely, I think, the first thing I saw of yours. And I'm so remiss. I couldn't find them. I was going to wear my hoops today, but who knows where I've left them. I have so much beadwork now that I need a better
I
organizational
better,
system. But
yeah.
I got the fire color pair with like a little bit of
Yeah.
turquoise, and I mean, you were quick with it. Like I ordered them, and then it was just like, oh, hello, they're here.
Yeah, I really tried in the beginning to like get my orders out a lot faster because I had so many. But it's not like that now.
I got you while you were still hot, right?
Yeah.
And then, so did you start out on the hoops, or did you start out like on the keychains, or what was like the first thing that you started beading when you began?
I first actually started making fringe earrings. I had like a beading book that my mom has had like my whole life. And like one day, like it was her biggest dream for like me to do beadwork because she's not very crafty. So she like collected all this stuff for me to do. And so, when the pandemic started, I was like, I might as well just like sit down and learn this because I didn't have anything else to do. So I learned how to make fringe earrings, and that was fun for a while. And then I really started to get into flat stitch, which is pretty much the only thing that I do for earrings now. I
Yeah, I
don't
do.
really
I see
fringe.
you doing a lot more of the flat stitch earrings now with
Hmm.
like the cabs, and you've actually done some florals, haven't you? With
Oh
like different
yeah.
shapes.
Hmm.
I
Those
love
are
those.
very difficult, but they turn out like when you finish them, you're just like, I finished a project like this. It's like very rewarding when you finish them.
I actually feel like, and this might just be a me struggle, not an all beater struggle, but I feel like a lot of beaters struggle to find like a really good purple bead. And I feel like you
Oh yeah.
have so many different styles of products that you put purple in. Is that definitely like a color that you use more
It's
frequently?
yeah, it's just like a more popular color. I'm not really sure why, but I remember when they got it in at Dancing Bear, which is where I buy all my beads, I was like, might as well buy it. And everyone just got like loved it and got so excited about it. So it's like pretty much like one of the most popular colors that I work with and one that I'm constantly buying. So yeah,
You
I love
mentioned
purple.
You mentioned Dancing Bear, and I didn't even know they existed until I started following you. And then I've actually ordered from them several times, and I think purple is the color that I've gotten from them because I was having a hard time finding it, and I found it there at
Yeah.
Dancing Bear, and I've ordered a few times. They had like a Easter egg,
The Easter egg hunt.
a
Yeah.
special, yeah. So you kind of opened up a little bit about your, the pandemic and how you got started during the pandemic. Why don't you share a little bit about your journey and how you feel like the pandemic, forged you into the beater that you are now?
Well, for starters, I had so much time on my hands. Like, I just had so much time, and we weren't really doing school. Like, yeah, we had class on Zoom, but nobody like really went to that. And I was a senior in high school, so I just kind of honestly felt like the whole world was ending. And I was like, I worked so hard, to have my graduation and do all the things. And none of that, I didn't get any of that. And so I was like, I really like just needed something to boost my mental health because I was just like so like down in the dumps all the time because I was like, this sucks. So, but I knew I wasn't like the only person that was feeling like that. I knew like there was tons of seniors out there who weren't going to get to have the nice graduation they always dreamed. And so I kind of used beading as like a way to like escape the world and to like give myself a little bit of healing because I really needed that at the time.
I think a lot of people did. I felt like the pandemic, and I truthfully, I mean, I'm still flabbergasted about the age difference between us because you saying that you were graduating just reminded me that we're a good decade apart here.
Yeah.
But I couldn't have imagined being a student of high school or college during the pandemic. I took, I was in a master's program, but it's not the same. I have, a career and kids and a home, and I
Right.
was doing a master's program online anyways. So yes, I did college during the pandemic, but I didn't do college in the way that I did, back at Oklahoma State when I was 17 years old, and you leave home and you're
Right.
embarking on this brand new adventure, and then boom, the pandemic just knocks all of that off of its axis. And I know for me, obviously, beadwork is where I go to hide, and it's where I find my safe space. So it is completely conceivable to me that that is something that you would use during the pandemic to find your safe space and to see, see your mental health kind of get a break from the reality of what's going on
Right.
around us. I think a lot of people, if you actually, kind of look at TikTok, I think that's what a lot of people did with TikTok, not just beadwise, but for, anybody. It was an escape and a way
Yeah.
for people to find something to do while they were
Yeah,
stuck at home.
something to be like excited about doing.
So do you think starting beading during the pandemic when you had more time on your hands was beneficial to like how quickly you've grown? Because I'm just going to tell you right now, you have gone 0 to 100. Like literally
Yeah.
you start out, beginning of 2020 and you are brand new to beading, you're learning out of books. And then before the end of 2021, you're leading TikTok lives for TikTok and you're
I know.
teaching people how to bead. And when I say people, I'm talking tens of thousands of people are
Yeah.
watching. Like, what was it? I think there's like 27,000 people at one time were like watching.
On my live, yeah, it was crazy.
And that, I mean, that is so fast. I mean, 2 years, like you put in the work for it. But there's a lot of beaters that don't see that kind of growth. I mean, I already knew from the beginning when because I think you like messaged me on Instagram and we actually did a little like video, a little like
Mhm.
Instagram video call about I think beaded feathers actually.
Yeah.
And you pick it up so fast. Like I truly think your hands were just made to bead because I mean it's just like that like, oh, I'm gonna try this. I mastered it. It's done. I like it's so crazy how fast I feel like you've grown. And I'm wondering if you think like, do you think maybe the pandemic helped in that way? Like maybe there's one little beneficial thing coming out of this horrible pandemic.
Yeah, I think part of it was like I had so much time to create, and so I really like put all my effort into doing like all the videos and all the close-ups and stuff like that. And in high school, we did a lot of project-based learning. And so I kind of like knew a little bit about video editing and how to get good shots and lighting. And so I kind of already had a background for that. But then with like having a good quality video is what I found that like people really enjoyed. And if you consistently put up good quality stuff that you put effort into, people see that. And also, people being on the internet way more than they were before, that not only helped people to see my stuff, but my sales just like blew through the roof. I had so many custom orders and like, people were just like ready to buy stuff because they were on the internet and, just ready to do anything.
Well, I do feel like you have a specific style when it comes to like recording your videos. You definitely go for more of the up close shots. I'm mesmerized by
Yeah.
it. I can do only this where I've got like my phone on a tripod and it's recording me, and this is what you get. And occasionally you'll get an overhead view, but it's mostly just like the one angle. And here you come in and you've got these amazing like up close shots of the teeny tiny stitches and you can see each individual
Yeah.
bead being laid down and it's so mesmerizing. I could honestly just scroll through your videos all day long because they're so satisfying. Like the fact that the beads they just lay so perfectly and you're just mesmerized by like the
Yeah.
string being pulled through the pellin. I love every second of it. Is that something like how when you were starting your TikTok, how long do you feel like it took you to find that style?
It took me a long time because at first I had started doing, just trying a little bit of everything. I tried to do overhead ones, I tried to do like time lapse stuff. Um, but I kind of eventually landed on like the close-ups just because then like not only filming is a lot easier that way and you don't have to like I just feel like it's easier that way, and then a lot of people like to see the final product at the end, and with my time lapses, I felt like I was just like, "Oh, like, here's a time lapse of me working," but, like, there was no, like, final product. So, I kinda just was like, "Well, this is what we're gonna do now," and those were all the videos that were doing really well on my page, and so that's just kinda something I decided to stick with because it did really well and it was fun for me to make.
I think it's definitely recognizable when it comes across my For You page, I can instantly, without even looking at the username, like, oh, there she is. Like, that's
Yeah,
Cheyenne.
it's
I can
pretty
see her.
distinct.
That's some Beads by Chey designs right there.
Yes.
And I love the cohesiveness of, when you post to Instagram or even when you do your videos, you have, is it like a bush? Do you have a bush outside your house or like a plant of
Yeah,
some
so
kind?
it's a succulent. It's my boyfriend's mom, she got my mom a succulent for Mother's Day, and so it's been sitting out in the front, like, and my mom is terrible at taking care of plants. Like, she doesn't really like plants, so it doesn't get watered. So I started taking care of it so that I could use it in the background of my photos, and I found that like the green background like really makes the beadwork pop. And so I just kind of started like stuck with that. But the succulent has been moved, so it's not in a convenient place anymore. So
What I think is funny is people look at, they see our finished products and they look at, and I'll be honest with you, I suck at product photography, and I was getting better at it, and now I feel like somehow I've gotten worse. But
regressed.
I have like, there's all these people that they see these finished products and they think, okay, they must be putting so much effort into like their, photography and all these things. And you're taking pictures of your beadwork in front of a succulent outside your
Yes, yes,
house.
I am.
Like, you don't even understand how, creative people have to get behind the scenes when it comes to
Yeah,
marketing your product. Because I love the cohesiveness of your Instagram and of your videos. When you see them, they all have this green background or this similar style of photograph. And so it makes your brand so much more recognizable. And
oh
I
yeah,
think that
for
it's
sure.
something that definitely makes you look, super professional, a step above, even if it's just the succulent outside your house. Okay. So talking about, you getting started beading and all of these things, what do you find most helpful for a new beader? Like, what could a new beader be doing that's going to help them grow in their craft?
I personally think that like when I first started beading, I stuck with one thing for kind of a long time before I tried something new. And I was always really discouraged when I would do like a new type of stitch or I would try a new type of color scheme. And I think it's really important for if you're just starting out with beading, just to like try it all. Because you never know, like, even if it's not the best the first time, like beading is it takes a long time to get everything nice and smooth and figuring out how to hold needles and your center and you just kind of have to find your own style. And so I definitely think that if you just like find a beading book that has different types of projects in it, just try it all and definitely practice.
I am a big proponent of, your hands have a personality and your hands can determine what you're good at. Even if you logically understand the stitch and you know how it's done and you've practiced and practiced, if your hands don't like it, you're not going to succeed at it.
Yeah.
Or
Hmm.
even if you do succeed at it and you make these gorgeous pieces, you're just not going to get the same joy out of it because it kind of like your hands get angry. And I know
Yeah.
hands don't feel emotions, but for me, I know like loom work, I love loom work when other people do it. And I love the way the finished products look, but I hate to do it. It comes out beautifully, but I hate to do it. And it's
It
just
takes
something
very
about the
tedious.
movement of it my hands don't like.
Don't
But
like it.
peyote stitch, that's my jam.
Yeah.
I did try a bunch of different things before I got into peyote. I actually think that I started out on the little like dangly brick stitch earrings as well.
Mhm.
Like, I think a lot of people kind of, that's the starting point for so many because they're, quick to learn. They don't always look the best when you're first starting
Yeah.
out, but they're a quick to learn kind of piece, and you don't need, a loom or anything like that to make it. So I tried that. I tried loom work, and I kind of settled on peyote stitch, and now we all know like that's where I live. That's where I find my
Yeah.
happy place. My hands just like that stitch. So I definitely second your recommendation to just try a bunch of things and don't get discouraged if, one thing doesn't work for you. And earrings. I mean, if you want to make earrings, there are so many different stitches
Yeah,
to
styles
make a
and ways
pair.
to do it.
I mean, you're working on a flat stitch now. You started out on hoops, which is a brick stitch around a medium. The
Yeah.
dangles, those are, typically a brick stitch with the dangles attached. There's so many different ways to create the same product.
Hmm.
So if one thing doesn't work for you, you can, just try something else.
For sure. Yeah.
I love that advice. That is something that I kind of that's my go-to is keep figuring out like what do you like, the most. Okay. So this is the question that I'm excited about because I want to know what you're doing this year. So this episode, while it's being filmed right before Christmas, it's actually going to air the first week of January. And everybody's always going into, their goals and we're looking forward to the year ahead. So I want to know, what are you looking forward to most in 2022?
Well, for starters, I'm bringing back my website. So I used to do the online shop like earlier this year, and I like doing it because it's just much easier to have a website to do all the background work, and all I have to do is post my beadwork. I personally really hated like when I would put like products up and like 40 people message you and then like you respond, but then they don't respond back and then they respond 2 hours later and they're like, oh, I still want it. I'm like, that was 3 hours ago. Like I personally don't like to have to chase people around
Mhm.
like in my DMs. So I personally like it because if they want it, they can buy it right on the spot and I don't have to really worry about it.
Mhm.
And I've kind of done a whole new theme. It used to be like a mostly all white theme, which I really liked because it made like the beadwork the center kind of, you know, piece of the website. But ever since I kind of stopped doing my online shop, I was kind of experimenting with different color schemes. Um, and just different things with my website. So I'm just really excited to bring it back, and have like a space where like this is where all of my art is going to be and this is where you can find me and it's just going to be much easier for me and I'm really excited about that. And I'm
I
also launching 2 new products. So,
Oh. Well, I'm
yeah.
hoping that beautiful sweater that you have on is on your website as well, right?
Yes, I have like a link on my website for my merch.
So Cheyenne
Yeah.
has this amazing drawing. Did you draw that or did someone else draw it?
I had somebody else do it for me. It's a picture of me, but it was somebody on Instagram. They're like, "Hey, can I make a logo for you?" I was like, "Sure," because at the time I didn't have a real logo, and then I just stuck with it. So yeah,
I love it. It's so pretty. And I think I've seen this ribbon skirt you're wearing several times, but it's this gorgeous image of her and she's got, her ribbon skirt on and it's what are those drawings called? The ones with like the no faces and the color
uh,
blocking. Do you know what that style is called?
not clip art. Is it clip art?
No,
No,
I don't
that's
know.
something different. I have no idea.
It
I
was
have no
definitely
idea.
popular on TikTok and everything. It's still very popular. A lot
Yeah,
of people still create them for gifts and things like that. And so it's this
yeah.
gorgeous, line art, like color blocked um image of her in her ribbon skirt. And she's got it on in yellow right now. Do you have other colors?
Yeah, it comes in black, white, burgundy, which my mom has the burgundy one, and then the yellow. And then I'm probably gonna do some more colors soon, but it comes in a shirt, a t-shirt, a long sleeve shirt, and then the sweater. So
I love
yeah.
it. I just for me, I think it's so special when beaders can take different things and obviously we're putting beadwork into our shops, but just that little
Mhm.
touch of other stuff, a sweatshirt here or a sticker there, and it just gives it such a beautiful touch. And of course I want one. I think I want the burgundy one. So you were
Yes,
saying that you had 2 new products. What was
yes.
that?
So I'm working on some peyote stitch mini keychains, and they're gonna be smaller than like my regular wrapped mini keychains. So, because a lot of people have been wanting something that like doesn't necessarily fit on the wrist, just something to like hang from their keys. Um, So I figured I would go ahead and do some peyote ones instead, because I haven't really ventured out into doing like peyote lanyards and keychains really. I've kind of just stuck to bead wrapping. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to expand and do some peyote. And then I'm also working on some elk teeth bead wrapped earrings. So
Oh,
yeah, so basically it'll be like a bead wrap paracord, and then hanging from it will be like an elk tooth. Right now I have like some bigger carved elk teeth, but I want to go and find some more like natural looking ones. So yeah.
okay. Well, I think that I'm drooling now. And that yeah, put me down. I'm so down. Like
Yes.
top of the list, just just tell me how much it costs. I'll PayPal you. And I got to get me some new earrings.
Yes.
So
Gotta expand the collection.
I know that you traveled to shows recently. Are you still traveling? Are you planning on kind of going to some more shows in 2022?
Yes. So I recently got into going to powwows, which I have the best time at powwows. I love powwows. My whole life I danced jingle. So growing up, my mom and I would go and like go powwow for the weekend. Um, and so I always have really great memories, but I don't have a dress anymore that fits me. And the lady who made all my other jingle dresses doesn't sew anymore. And so I'm kind of just like, she was my, my lady. And now I'm like kind of not really interested in getting anybody else to make me a dress. So it's kind of a way for me to go back to powwows and continue to, be part of the Native community, but in a different way. And it's also fun for, me to go and watch other people dance rather than, me be the dancer. So that's really exciting. I definitely want to do some out of state powwows, but with the current pandemic status, I'm not really sure if other states are going to do powwows. I know in California, everything from last year's kind of just been like backed up. So I'm hoping that they're going to start putting dates out soon so I can sign up. But yes, I'm going to be a powwow queen. I'm so excited.
I love selling in person. I think there's something so personable about being able to talk to your customers and
Yeah.
just selling outright. And, I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of going to the post office.
Oh, I hate
It-
going to the post office. I agree.
and it's so backed up. Like the only way to know if someone's actually going to get their product is if you personally hand it to them.
Yes, exactly.
I love the ability to, meet who's getting it and, you know, get to know them a little bit and see where the piece is going. And I don't know about you, but I want to see the beadwork after it's bought. Like I want to see
Yeah.
someone wearing it. And
Wearing
I
it.
try to tell people, please, I don't care if it's a random day at work, just take a picture and send it to me. I don't have to share it. I just want to see it in action because I put so much love into it and I want to see,
Right. Uh-huh.
living its life, doing the things. That's one thing I like about the
Yeah.
bouquet wraps is I always get good pictures because they're for weddings.
Right.
So the wedding photographers are always like quick on the draw when it comes to getting a beautiful picture of the beadwork. But everything else, once it goes out the door, it's just gone.
I know. And sometimes like also when people do message, we're like, oh, well, like I broke this, and I'm like, well, I don't want to see it broken, like, but yeah.
I don't think I've been to any shows since I got pregnant. I was actually at with Clay. I had my son last May, and so he's about 18 months old now. But my husband and we had infertility struggles, so we were actively trying to have a baby. And I remember like testing so fast, every single day, like way too
Mhm.
early. And so I go to this show and I'm selling all my beadwork and I'm kind of having a down day and I'm just like sitting there beading while people are chatting with me. And it was so uplifting to kind of like get my mind off of it. And then of course I immediately go home, take a test. Oh, I'm pregnant. And I think that was my last show because that would have been the fall or like almost winter of 2019. And we
Right
all
before
know
the pandemic.
the
Yeah.
world shut down right after that. And so that was my very last show, but at least it has a good memory. It has a good memory.
Yeah, it does.
But with the kids, I miss showing. I miss going to the shows and going to powwows and just being there with people. I miss people.
Yeah. Oh my God, I know. I'm like, I wouldn't say that I definitely like to talk to people, and I definitely like to be like out doing stuff. Obviously with people I like. I'm not really into like having conversation with people that I like don't enjoy. Like there's always that one person when you go to a powwow and you're like, ooh, I'm gonna go the other direction. But I like to be surrounded by like people I enjoy and like have good conversations. And since the pandemic, a lot of people who were like in my inner circle, they all had kids. And so now everyone has little babies, and I get to be, auntie out there with my, arms full of toddlers. And it's just so fun. And I really miss doing it. And I always had like, when I was probably like 12 or 13, all the kids that were coming into the dance group that I was part of were all pretty little. So like they would send me with all the kids, and I just had like 5 hands with me, and I would go into grand entry and I'd have like 10 kids, and in the honor songs, telling kids to stop doing this, or make sure you stand still, and kids being like, I want to sit down. So yeah, it's definitely the community that I really missed about powwows.
See, and that's when, I will say that we have found in Turtle Island Beaders, I feel like we have found a really good community. It's not quite the same because, you're not in person, but at Turtle Island Beaders, it's a group that Lenny Bead Hands started, and we all kind of joined off of TikTok, and we have a smaller group message for like the OGs that we started it all and doing the fundraisers and everything. And then we created a Facebook group, which if you're a beader and you're listening, you can join the Turtle Island Beaders group. Just search them up on Facebook. But that's one thing I do like about that group is that we're able to kind of feel that sense of community, because the TikTok bead community is pretty tight knit, I feel like.
Yeah. Everyone kind of knows everybody.
Yeah, we all kind of recognize each other's beadwork, we recognize each other's styles and what we're working on, and we follow the lives, and we follow the updates and the sales and all that other stuff. I'm sure we'll all be just staring at you waiting for you to upload that new website. But I am glad that there's this substitute, even though it's not the same. There is a little bit of well, at least we have this. At least we have the ability to get together on Facebook Messenger or TikTok or wherever it is, and still get together in our own virtual way.
Yeah, exactly.
So before we go, I want you to tell me, where can we find Cheyenne Faulkner? Where can we find Beads by Chey Designs?
So I'm Beads by Chey Designs on Instagram, on TikTok, and I do have a YouTube channel. I'm not really sure what I want to do with that. There's some tutorials on there. There's some vlogs on there. I think for next year, it's going to be a powwow vlog type channel where I'm going to vlog, me traveling and, going to different powwows, because that's my big plan. So that's definitely in the works right now. So yeah, just mainly TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and my website is beadsbycheydesigns.com. So
of all those places, is there like one that you love the most? Is there one
TikTok?
Like TikTok?
TikTok's my favorite.
See, that's mine too. Everyone always, I will say, I mean, not to, bring up the age thing again, but I feel like when I tell people, they're like, oh, well, what are you doing? And I was like, because I have a job and all that stuff. Like, I know you're going to school and everything. It's not the only thing that we do. But when people are like, well, where can I see your beadwork? I'm like, oh, on TikTok. And they look at me like I'm crazy. And they're like, TikTok? Like, how is this a thing? And I know, like, I went and bought my microphone for the podcast and everything. And I walk in and the guy was like, can I help you? And I was like, I don't want to tell you what I need. He was like, so what are you, doing? And I was like, well, and he was so supportive, but he was like, are you going to do like a vlog or like, what are we doing? And I was like, I'm on this thing called TikTok. And he's like, yeah, yes, I've heard of this. And I was like, yeah, and I have a few followers, and I like it, and I think I want to do a podcast, and I don't know what I'm doing. And he was like, oh, like, how many TikTok followers do you have? And I told him, like 80,000-ish, 83,000. And he was like, what are you doing on TikTok? Like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm sure, like, when people think of TikTok, they think of you like dancing around on
Yeah,
TikTok,
exactly.
and that's what they immediately always go to. They're like, are you shaking
Like,
your
oh,
butt?
you dance? Yeah.
Listen, no. You're never gonna see me doing a TikTok dance. But I love it. I love selling on there. I feel like I have the ability to really show people behind the scenes and they get to see what
Mhm.
I'm working on in real time. And I feel like I've gotten to know other beaters like you. I've gotten to know so much about you just by watching your videos. And of course, we get to like interact in the comments, but I don't know. I think the video feature that makes me love it so much. Getting
Yeah.
to see, I like Instagram. I like the pretty pictures, but I want to see you making your beads. Like I want to see
Yeah.
like what you're working on in real time, and that's a little bit about like how on the bead mat came to be. Is because I want to see what's on your bead mat. I want to see you working
Yeah.
and doing all of your things and like ask you all the juicy details. Okay, so we've got one more question. What
Woohoo.
do you have one last piece of advice for anyone looking to get started in beadwork?
My last piece of advice. So obviously trying everything. And then when you go out and buy your first set of beads, like your first couple hanks, my recommendations for colors, because when I first bought colors, I bought like pink, burgundy, and like green. I don't know. Like I didn't buy colors that like really made sense. I would definitely pick turquoise and black and white. I think you can never go wrong with those three colors, and there's so much you can do with it. And those are my bead recommendations because you always want to start off with like a couple hanks, but you don't want to buy like, like my whole. I have like 3 bead carts with like the beads in it.
Oh, so
So
so you're saying that you shouldn't spend hundreds of dollars every time you go online. What? I didn't know
I
this.
don't
Maybe
know.
somebody should have told me this sooner. I get what you're saying though about, buying beads because when you buy beads, you're not going to use everything. Like you have to buy it in a certain quantity and you're not going to use that
Yeah,
entire thing, presumably for your first project. And so if you're
exactly.
buying very specific beads like lime green and fuchsia and things like that
Yeah.
first time out, they're beautiful, but they might not be something that you can consistently use. I
Mhm.
love that recommendation. I would definitely say, black and white. You can't go wrong making sure you have black and white. And then
Yeah.
I like more for me. Obviously the fire colors, great
Oh, yes.
recommendation. And then I like earth tones, so some
Yeah.
browns,
Browns and
bronzes,
creams.
turquoises, things like
Yeah.
that. They kind of you can mix and match those and get like a bunch of different color palettes out of it all. But okay, well, thank you so much. I'm so excited. I cannot believe we just finished the very first podcast of On the Bead Mat. I am
Yay!
looking forward to getting this uploaded and seeing because I guarantee you people are going to love all of your advice. And I'm going to make sure and put all of the links for you to find Cheyenne in the description of this video so that you can go check her out for yourself. And I am so, so thankful to her for being my guinea pig in this little project. So thank you for being here. And I can't wait to see
Yeah.
what's next on the Bead Mat. How amazing is Cheyenne? I hope you all enjoyed having her on the show as much as I did. She's grown so much in a short amount of time, and I invite you to follow along on her bead journey with me by checking out her handles in the show notes. I also want to thank this episode's guest sponsor, Indigenous Supplies. They are supplying Cheyenne with plenty of bead goodies so that she can continue to create inspiring pieces. Head on over and shop their website at indigenoussupplies.com. Are you loving On the Bead Mat? Do me a favor and give the show a 5-star review so that we can reach more creators just like you. We have a lot of amazing guests coming up on the show each week, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and tune in as we discover what is on the bead mat.